Matt Patricia is the new defensive coordinator at Ohio State. This is a breaking news version of Locked On Big Ten.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button while you're watching, if you don't mind. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So, Matt Patricia, a surprise pick for defensive coordinator at Ohio State. Let's talk about it here on this breaking news edition of Locked On Big Ten. Former Detroit Lions head coach and New England Patriots defensive coordinator Matt Patricia going to be the new defensive coordinator at Ohio State. Jim Knowles, as you know, is out. He left right after Ryan Day called him the best defensive coordinator in the country. He took the job at Penn State to go work for James Franklin. They paid him a ton of money to pull an asset out of one of the rivals. And so Knowles is with Franklin at Penn State, and Ryan Day's been looking around for a new defensive coordinator here. And earlier this week, Ryan Day was actually turned down by another candidate. Patricia wasn't the first choice. Auburn defensive coordinator DJ Durkin. He apparently talked to Ryan Day, but then he just leveraged it into getting Hugh Freeze to pay him more money and give him an extra year on his deal at Auburn. So he remained. He turned Ohio State down. He remained at Auburn. Going to get $2.5 million a year, though, so it worked for him there. Ryan Day had to keep on looking. We talked about whether he would promote people from within. In fact, yesterday on a podcast on Locked On Big Ten, we discussed a couple of internal candidates, defensive coaches like cornerbacks coach Tim Walton, their safeties coach Matt Guerrieri. Under Matt Patricia now being the defensive coordinator, those two will still get promoted and rewarded for the national championship season that they had here. Walton will be named co-defensive coordinator. Guerrieri will be the pass game coordinator. Things move quickly in Columbus. Patricia interviewed for this job on Tuesday, and he was named defensive coordinator on Wednesday. So it did move fast. Ryan Day did get his guy, but Matt Patricia, we didn't really see that one coming. At least I didn't. I think it's an interesting hire. And I'll give Ryan Day some credit for thinking outside the box on this one. We'll go over some pros and cons with all of this as well. Let's talk about the pros. And we're going to go into this more in tomorrow's podcast as well. But Matt Patricia, bottom line, is a brilliant person. He is a brilliant, literally graduated from Rensselaer Polytech Institute, aeronautical engineer degree. You got to be smart to do that. Rocket scientist, like literally. But he decided he wanted to coach football for a living. So, look, you got to be smart to do that stuff. He's a smart guy. Going to put the pencil behind the ear and get after it and try and decipher offenses around the Big Ten. So, in addition to that, he's got a track record as a good defensive coordinator. And he started off with the Patriots. He moved his way up, became the defensive coordinator, and he was running that defense during the Tom Brady years. He won a couple Super Bowls as the defensive coordinator with the Patriots in 2016, gave up the fewest points in the NFL. So they were taking care of things on both sides of the ball. Matt Patricia handled the defense. Bill Belichick was heavily involved in that as well. Tom Brady handled the offense with the various offensive coordinators, Bill O'Brien, Josh McDaniels. You remember the story. So good on that part. The cons, as a head coach, guy was a disaster in Detroit. He was 13-29. The locker room did not like him. He came in there with the Patriot way, was going to bang everybody over the head. You know, I know the Patriot way is Tom Brady, and then be tough guy on everybody else, including Tom Brady. You can't just walk into a new locker room and do that. He divided that Lions locker room. They hated him. Star players turned against him. Then they ended up getting rid of some of them. So Patriot way, toughness, day one, you got to ease into that a little bit. Maybe he's a little aloof. Maybe he's a little introverted. Maybe he doesn't explain himself. These are things that he hopefully has improved on since then, because now he's working with college kids. And he does have some college experience, but not a lot. A couple of 2 or 3 stints, 2 of them were as graduate assistants. And I don't know that he did any hardcore recruiting at Amherst. So we'll see how that goes, because that's a big part of this job at Ohio State that I would be concerned about. Then again, at Ohio State, you've got your name, image, and likeness money. You go after your 5 stars. You get a lot of them. The school kind of does the recruiting. Maybe it won't be a big deal. Maybe it will. I don't know. I don't know if Matt Patricia's going to be sitting in the living rooms of young kids or not. If he does, I got a question mark about how he can do it. So we'll look into that as well. But in addition to the disastrous run as a head coach with the Lions, I think tarnished his image a little bit, because up at that point, he was really the up-and-coming name in the NFL. And then he came back to the Patriots, and Bill Belichick made that curious move of making Matt Patricia the co-offensive coordinator without the title. It was weird, and their offense was horrible. So we'll see. We'll see how he does and how he does. He's going to have a very defined role at Ohio State, so I think he should do pretty well. And by the way, speaking of Bill Belichick, he didn't hire Matt Patricia for his college staff. These guys are both going to college now, looking for jobs, because nothing's available at the NFL. I find that a little bit curious as well. So these are things we'll keep an eye on and talk about here with this stuff going on. I would also be curious to see if he is going to coach upstairs in the booth or down on the field. Now, when he was in the NFL, he was down on the field, on the sideline, interacting with the players. Will he go upstairs? I would highly recommend, just based on the Michigan game alone, I would be upstairs in the booth. I wouldn't be down on the sidelines when you're going into Ann Arbor with Michigan fans that don't like you because you're part of Ohio State. And most of those Michigan fans are also Detroit Lion fans who didn't like Matt Patricia in his days in Detroit. I would go upstairs in the booth if I was him. It's just my personal thought process on that. Now, he also has high expectations. You always do when you go to Ohio State. And he's going to take over a defense that was the number 1 scoring defense and total defense in the country last year on the way to a national championship. Problem is, a lot of those guys are gone now, going to the NFL. Only 3 of the 11 starters return. That's what he inherits. By the way, it's safety Caleb Downs is going to be one of the best players in the country, if he's not already. Linebacker Sonny Styles, very good. And corner Davison Igbinosun, who's got a lot of experience. In fact, he was honorable mention for all Big Ten this past year in the championship run. So anyway, love to hear your comments on that. Just kind of a teaser, breaking story here on Wednesday. We're going to talk about it a lot on Thursday's podcast as well, on our regular Thursday morning podcast, but wanted to get a jump on this here today. We'd love your comments. You can hit us up and hit that subscribe button if you don't mind, if you're new to us because it was breaking news or whatever. Go ahead and subscribe. It's free, and you can follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode that we do each and every morning as soon as it becomes available. Plus, if you don't mind, share, like, and follow. That also helps us out as well. And as long as you're, I tell you, we got a website, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there chronologically, and we also group them by your favorite Big Ten school. And there are also links there if you want to get some Big Ten merchandise for your favorite school. A little school spirit. Ohio State, you want an Ohio State shirt, pennant, all right there. Got it for you if you want to check that out at Talk Big Ten. That would be fantastic if you were able to check that out. All right. We're going to have a final word on this breaking news edition of Locked On Big Ten. That's coming up next in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. I want to tell you about FanDuel. You watch games. They're exciting. They're more exciting with FanDuel. Now let's look at the NBA. Now the Super Bowl and all that's over with. No better place to get in on the action with the NBA than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. I think betting on NBA is the more predictable, easier one. I have more success, personal situation. That's all. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. And even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action that way. And you can use the app. It's very easy to maneuver around and find bets that you want to put out there. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com and join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right. Again, breaking news edition here of Locked On Big Ten. Thanks for finding us here on this day. Look, we're here each and every day. Want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. Meanwhile, hit that subscribe button, share, follow, and like, and check out our website, talkbig10.com. So join us Thursday morning as usual. We'll have our full-length podcast on Locked On Big Ten like we do each and every day. Obviously, we'll be talking about Matt Patricia and the Ohio State Buckeyes, or what we expect moving forward with all of that. We'll also have some clarifications on Jim Knowles' departure at Ohio State. And we get that information from his new boss, James Franklin, at Penn State. Interesting little twist. You want to tune into that podcast, again, first thing on Thursday morning. Also got the latest hoops news, some extra stuff out of Bloomington and East Lansing as well. Thank you for joining us as always. If you just caught us here tonight, thank you for checking us out on the breaking news edition of Locked On Big Ten. And can't wait to talk to you again tomorrow with the full-blown story on all this. Matt Patricia at Ohio State. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten. We'll talk to you later.